Vieira landed the tackle and snapped his leg. We agree that's a red. Are we saying that it's still a red when he wasn't touched? Make it make sense. Well, I think there was a touch. I think he clipped him. I've only seen one replay, so I'd have to rewatch it again. But yeah, I mean, you don't have to break the leg for it to be a red card if it can do it. I mean, I'm not too sure if the rules work the same. I have to read them. But if you throw a punch at someone and miss, you still get sent off. You know, whether you land it or not. If you put a tackle in there's a leg breaker and you just miss or you just clip them, that's why they've said that Kai Havertz's tackle, they didn't look at it up close in the super slow-mo because the front leg did actually catch the leg. If they'd have seen that, they'd have sent him off. So I think that's the law, but I'd have to read it again to be sure. Havertz is similar to Ozil where he's not similar to Ozil in any capacity. But anyway, he says that Ozil where his running style makes him seem like he isn't working hard. But Ozil was dictating at his best. Ozil was dictating. Burnley, Bournemouth just missed again. At his best, he was dictating play, creating chances at the highest level of the game at World Cups. So yes, he can sometimes look a little bit nonchalant, but Ozil could get away with that because he would still go boom, boom, boom. There's a chance. There's a chance. There's a chance. So I get where you're coming from. Berbatov was looked at as someone like him, but he scored and did a lot. Big up, Tell. You and Mark Goldbridge equal goats. Fair analysis. Thank you, Pete. I appreciate that. We won, and as a bonus, 6 points ahead of Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea got to win tomorrow because they keep coming for us. We could be. I know they keep coming. Where are all the Sputter fans today? Yeah, they're not here. They're not here. Koppenheimer is said, Terry, are you saying Rashford is not listening to Ten Hag or Rashford is not good enough to manage him? Which one is it? Well, I don't think it's as polarized or as simplistic as that. I don't think we should talk about this like we're 10 years old at school, my bro. It's not that he's just not listening to him. I don't know what it's about because I'm not in there, but there's something. And it could be somewhere along the lines of this is how we're going to play this year. And the players think, we think that's going to expose us, boss. We don't think that's going to work. We think it's going to cause issues. Maybe they're looking at the way Casemiro's getting run past in games and the defense is sitting there going, boss, this weren't happening last year. Why have you changed it? And maybe he's told them, it could be something. It could start off with a conversation like that. The manager doesn't handle it very well. They didn't see a few players being mistreated, and there ain't a feel-good factor. And then you start losing games. And then the pressure comes on, and it's a big build-up. I don't think they're just walking around the training ground, ignoring the manager and not talking to him. And I do think Ten Hag's good enough to turn it around, but pride comes before the fall sometimes. Luton were utterly abysmal, could barely pass. That's because we were so good. Arsenal's problem is chance creation. We are going to bring Tony in to finish the chances we aren't creating. Shouldn't a midfield be a priority again?
Yeah.
Do you agree with that, Tony?
Yeah, I agree with that disposition. Last season, our biggest creative director, of course, Martin Odegaard, scored 15 goals last season for us, with I think about 7 assists, if I'm correct. With my start, it never fails me. We lost him. Nowhere to be found again today. And since this guy left, of course, definitely we have that hole gaping. No one has taken that mantle to create for this team. No one, absolutely no one. Fabio Vieira just came into the game and got himself sent off. Who else can come in? Emile Smith-Rowe. Injury worries all true. So we have a systematic problem, and it deals with our recruitment. And again, that comes back to that question: why did we go to spend £65 million on a player that we didn't need in the first place? A player, at least because we do need a creative player right now. Why spending that money on someone who can create and who can score? So we have a big problem.
I think you have got a problem there. What I will say about it is this, and maybe it's because of the situation you're in. You haven't won any major like leagues or Champions Leagues ever, leagues 20 years. But most managers will buy players who don't quite work. But with Arsenal fans, it seems to be with it depends. I suppose I'll use your word, your disposition on Arteta. Depends on how you feel about him. It's almost like with this one signing don't work, you're dead to me. And I find it just really interesting. I don't know the answers to this. I'm not a clinical psychologist, but I'd love a psychologist to break it down because certain clubs, and it isn't just the ones that win, it's like, oh yeah, he bought a dud there, he wasted money on him, but I love my manager, he'll get it right next time. Where with some Arsenal fans, it's like every signing the manager makes, if this doesn't become the new Henry, I'm being a little bit facetious here, fuck you, you can go. I just find it really interesting watching it. Yeah, I think he's a dud as well, but this is what I would, if you trust the manager, it should just be, we'll just give him another 65 million to buy someone else then. I just, because that just makes more sense to me. But
some certain in some incendiary part of our fan base, I don't think they trust this manager to handle a single cent of their money again. He has managed to bring in Kai Havertz, yeah. He's managed to bring in Jorginho, who's past his best from Chelsea Football Club. He brought in Fabio Vieira. He hasn't hit the ground running. He brought in David Raya on loan, who's looked shaky this season. Also, if you tell yourself the truth, if you're an Arsenal fan, see the signings that have been putting up this season for us are Unai Emery signings, yeah. Former manager players, you know.
But why is that? Let me ask you a really quick question, because I've got in the show soon, Tony. But why is that a problem? So I hear things like the trophy you won was with Unai Emery's team. Like that's praise for Unai Emery, who couldn't win with that team. I then sort of hear, oh, this player's playing well, but he was signed by somebody else, so therefore I can't credit the manager. But then in the same breath, I hear you turn around and criticize Ten Hag for not improving Rashford, but Rashford weren't signing either. So this is, and I'm not even going to go at you. I sometimes feel when you deal with something subjectively and you're in your emotions about how you feel about a manager, you will criticize elements of their either what they're doing well or what they're doing good. So for me, that's talking at both sides of your mouths. If you're gonna not have a go, but if you're not gonna credit Arteta for improving Martinelli because he was an Emery signing, you can't criticize Ten Hag for Rashford not getting better. Those two things have to coexist in the same multiverse, surely.
Surely, no, I get that argument, but again, what breaks this whole thing? Yeah, what breaks the yoke for me is last season Arsenal challenging for the title last season. That changes the whole atmosphere of everything. Yeah,
why?
We went head to head with the champions last season. That tells you that
but what does
Mikel
it change?
Arteta at least
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer finished second in the league.
At least he's changed something.
But change what though? But I get that. But change what specificity?
Arsenal haven't challenged for the title for the past, let's say.
No, I understand that. But what's challenging last year? What's that changed in you in terms of your perspective? What's it changed?
Probably, maybe he's changed the culture. Yeah, he's a more less boss. I just think he needs to recruit in the right places. Get us a striker. He's a very stubborn manager. You need to understand.
I agree.
He's a very
stubborn, and I agree.
He's a very stubborn manager.
Go get
us a prolific striker.
Tony, I get you. Tony, I just want to interject. I want to say this. You're right. He has to recruit the right people. But that's the same logic. Every manager has to recruit the right players. It's almost like a prerequisite that you would say your job is to try and recruit the right people. And I think he's made a mistake with Kai Havertz. But what I don't, again, if you don't rate Arteta and you don't think he can get you to the promised land, then it makes sense to say that's it. It's the final straw. Get rid of him. But for people that back the manager and think he's good enough, their reaction to the Kai Havertz sign-in, I find over the top because it's very much baby out with the bathwater. Where it's just a mistake. Pep Guardiola has signed a lot of duds at City. But the difference is he's allowed to replace him quickly and the fans are behind him and he's gone on to be successful. Now, if you're bored, turn around and say, well, you've got to keep Kai now for at least 3 years. We're not going to give you any money to replace him. We're not going to let you sell him at a loss. You know, when you said earlier, you can't blame the Glazers. That's where it would go away from being an Arteta problem and become a Kroenke problem. Because if the Kroenke don't let that mistake be rectified quickly, publicly, it will look, he's just stubborn. He's stuck with him for 3 years. If he's being told he can't replace him, most managers would get rid of a dud very quickly if their owners allowed them to, because all they want to do is win football matches. So I just think there's got to be a happy medium there. But look, guys.